Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman is with us. Senator, thank you for being with us. I know a lot of Democrats don't want to come on this show. I'll be respectful. I've had the opportunity to meet with you and have, very civil conversations and friendly and actually fun, to be very honest. And we appreciate you being here.
But yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on, Sean. It's a pleasure to have this conversation. Absolutely.
I want to start with this issue because if you go back to the end of the 24 campaign, the closing argument to me was Nazi, fascist, racist, Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini. I don't think it worked out well for the Democrats. And you actually said if you're looking for a Democrat, and this is what you said, that's going to call people Nazis, fascists, all these kinds of things, I'm not going to be that guy. Okay, I admire you for saying that. I'm not going to be the guy, saying those things about the left either, because, those are the worst adjectives you can use. But you've made a decision not to, but your party is going in the other direction. And they're saying it with regularity, and I'll play more tape later in the show today about it. What is going on? Why have they chosen that path when it didn't succeed the first time?
I don't know why, and I've always refused to say that. And when then the Vice President Harris referred to President Trump as a fascist, and I knew absolutely we lost the plot at that point. If you call the president or someone like a fascist, you're effectively calling the people that are going to vote for him, and then they must be fascist too, or they support fascism and those things, and that's just not true. That's just not it. I happen to know, and I love a lot of people that voted for the president, and they're not fascists, they're not Nazis, they're not trying to destroy the Constitution and all those things. They just happen to have a different priorities, and they love our country in the same ways that Democrats do as well. So I refuse to do those kinds of a thing, because that kind of extreme kinds of rhetoric makes it easier for those kinds of extreme kinds of actions, even like what happened to poor Charlie Kirk and that. And now why you can't allow people to grieve and now use that an opportunity to criticize or to turn it into something. It's like, that's just basic humanity there. And like, we're forgetting that we need each other. We need each other here. And now I refuse to be a part of it and comparing people to Hitler and those things, because if that's what's required to win, then I refuse to.
You just heard a Democratic colleague's family will suffer, but we need the leverage. Wow, that's a pretty impactful statement to me. Your thoughts?
Yeah, like I just said that, I just put that in my social. Like 2 million Pennsylvanians depend on SNAP to helping feed themselves and their family. 2 million. And now that's going to be suspended because our government is shut down. I can't ever vote for that kinds of mass food insecurity like that. And now I'm going to be a country over party guy. I'm always going to vote to pay our military over the party. I'm always going to vote to pay the Capitol Police here versus over the party. I'm always going to vote country over my party, and if I pay a price within my base, that's something I'm willing to do, because I happen to believe it's very true, and that's what's honest where we are right now. It's wrong to shut our government down, and that's going to impact millions of Americans. And I do believe Leader Thune is an honorable man, and I do believe that we can have significant and important conversations to negotiate to extend those tax credits, and I do hope we're able to do these things. So for me, it's a core responsibility here as a senator to keep our government open, and I'm never going to vote to shut our government down, and I don't care if it's the Republicans or Democrats, whatever, it's wrong.
How do you interpret Chuck Schumer, when we've played montages on this program of him over the course of his entire career speaking out against a government shutdown, and now he's made the decision to do it? You came under heavy criticism when this happened back earlier in the year, as did he, but now he's changed course. Do you believe he's catering to a rise of radicalism in your party? Do you see a rise of radicalism in your ranks?
I mean, I don't know what his views are, and I'll of course I'll respect whatever his views are, but you know, I'm not afraid to tell my truth, and if I'm going to pay a penalty, I'm not afraid of that. It's wrong to shut our government down, and then if I lose some support within the base, well, I'm going to be honest, and I'll be the Democrat that refused to lie to the base and just say that it's the right thing to shut the government down and to create these kinds of things. You know, I want to extend these tax credits and make health insurance more affordable, but I also refuse to vote to suspend SNAP for millions of Pennsylvanians in my state and across the entire nation. I refuse to do those things.
You know, Senator, you've taken other bold stands. For example, you supported President Trump taking out Iranian nuclear sites. You've been an outspoken supporter of Israel. I have a hard time understanding those that don't understand, you know, that the equivalent of 40,000 Americans, based on their population versus ours, were killed in a single day. Murder, rape, kidnapping, torture, beheadings, that all happened. And if it happened in this country and we've been hit with hundreds of thousands of rockets, I ask everybody that is criticizing Israel, what would you expect America to do? What do you think is missing in terms of their thought process?
I can't imagine why. You know, I believe my party betrayed Israel through that Gaza war. You know, I became really the last Democrat that's going to stand with Israel through to the end. And I think I was one of the first and only Democrat to celebrate the ceasefire and the peace deal that the president helped achieve. I mean, that's an incredible development. You know, that's not about the politics. You know, that's amazing. I was the only Democrat that supported the Iranian nuclear sites. How could we allow Iran to acquire a nuclear bomb? I mean, again, I'm going to follow country over party through these things. And I think it's magnificent what Israel's been able to accomplish. They were able to break and destroy Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis. And now they also broke and humiliated Iran, and that blocked them from acquiring a nuclear bomb. That's huge. And all the experts were wrong. And I was proud to stand with Israel. And I absolutely agreed way the president has handled that situation through it. And I'm always going to vote whatever supports Israel, you know, military, financial, intelligence, whatever that is.
Yeah. You know, according to the bills, there's a report about your voting record. It's called GovTrack. You're the 17th most liberal member of the Senate in terms of the legislation that you sponsored. And I know you've answered the question about being a Republican many times, so I won't bother asking you. But on the issue of Democrats, because you take a few positions that don't toe the line, they're talking about when your cycle comes up, they want to primary you. What is your response to them?
I really, I'm not afraid of telling the truth. As I've said, I'll be the Democrat that refuses to lie to the base and pretend that this is right. You know, I'm proud to stand with Israel. I'm proud to say that we need to secure our border. You know, I think it's entirely appropriate to bomb the Iranian nuclear facilities. And now I refuse to call my fellow citizens as they're fascists or Nazis or those things. I mean, I will agree also that we must keep our government open. And if somebody wants to primary me or the party wants to vote me out, it's like I'm going to go down being honest and telling you that this is wrong. To do these kinds of things, and I refuse to do that. I think we need to be a big tent party. That doesn't sound like I'm a Democrat, and I know
I thought it was a mistake. I'm sorry, Senator. I thought it was a mistake when Democratic senators voted against the largest tax cut in history. A lot of hardworking blue-collar workers in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, no tax on tips, overtime, or Social Security. I would think that they would have wanted that. Why would they be against that?
Yeah, I actually I love that no taxes on tips, and that was all rolled up. I mean, that was all passed through a UC. 100 out of 100 of us agreed on those kinds of a thing. And then I also happened to agree that I was concerned about cutting Medicaid. And in my Pennsylvania, rural healthcare was significant, and all those hospitals in those red counties are always struggling for that. We can agree and disagree on different things, but for me, I'm going to be the one kind of Democrat that's going to be, hey, I happen to believe these things, and if that moves against my political interests, then I'm still going to be honest, and I'm going to just talk about what I happens to believe is the truth in these kinds of circumstances. And now I'm one of only two Democrats that's voting to keep our government open. I was the only kind of Democrat that fully supported Israel throughout all of it. And again, I also was proud to be the co-sponsor of the Laken bill as well, too, because we do need to deport all of the criminals in our nation right now. I don't know why it's controversial to any Democrat or anyone.
What was your reaction when, at the joint session speech, that Democrats didn't stand and clap for Laken Riley's family, Jocelyn Nungary's family, or that young man that had cancer? We only have about 20 seconds.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's heartbreaking. I mean, as a father with 3 children, if someone had done that to one of my children, it's just how devastating. I mean, this is what I'm saying. I will never understand why it's controversial to round up and deport all of the criminals here in our nation right now. And I'm proud to just agree that we need to secure our border. I don't know why these other kinds of things. And if they want to, run me out of the party for these kind of views, I mean, that's really it's up to them. But I'm going to continue.
I know a few people. I can connect you, and I know another party would probably welcome you with open arms. No, but in all seriousness, Senator, I appreciate your thoughtfulness, your independence, your intellectual honesty. Thanks for being